All right, lads, it is quite literally 6:43 in the morning, and then FGO JP was like, let's go ahead and drop a new servant. You know that Sakura face that everybody wanted, and that I myself in one of my past videos was just like, oh, well, we got Kama coming back on Radar, but there's no Kali, there's no Durga. Where are they? And they were like, hold on, buddy. We were just kind of dropping Kama to kind of test out the waters a little bit, but now here you go. Here's Kali. And I know a lot of you guys are asking, well, the moment of truth, is she actually good? Yes, she is a very, very strong servant. She's got a very, I don't want to say basic kit, but it's super straightforward. Like, it's just a lot of really good stuff with a couple of interesting little gimmicks here and there that she's able to do. But I can tell you right now that if you are playing JP, or if you're an NA player and you're looking at this new Sakura face and you're like, I want to hop in there, she's definitely really, really solid. And just for those of you that may be curious, her ascensions are all absolute bangers. I mean, you got Ascension 1, you got Ascension 2 where she gets a cute dress, and then she turns into a whole Indian goddess lady, and then, you know, you got the 4th ascension that's also a banger. So let's just go ahead and start talking about some of the stuff that's in her kit. And already right off the bat, she's starting off very strong with her first skill over here, giving her a 50% battery, and not just overcharge for herself, but she also overcharges everybody's NP by 1 stage for 1 time on a 3-turn cooldown. The reason this is really good is that she is an art servant, and if you know anything about art servants, all of the supports have really good overcharge effects. You've got Castoria that gives you extra hits of solemn defense. You even got Tamama that a lot of players probably do have because of the free 5-star ticket. That also gives you more NP on her overcharge. Lady Avalon is also very, very strong as well. You just have a lot of very top tier supports that all have very good overcharge effects. And now she is an AoE servant, so you'll probably only use her for farming, so it may not come up all that often. But if you do want to use her for the double damage mods that she does have on her NP that we'll talk about in just a little bit, you want to bring her to more difficult content, she can actually help out other members of your party by giving them that overcharge stage. And then again, that 50% NP, just battery that she's got going on there, is just going to be very, very strong if you want to use her as a farming servant, or if you just want to bring her to some stages, because being able to just rapid fire your NP with a 50% battery is always going to be very, very strong. So just a strong opener skill there. And then you have her second skill, which is kind of interesting because she gives herself the Omni card buff, and I did check her passives over here. She does at least give herself another arts buff over here, so she's more actually looking at like a 30% arts and quick buff because of her writing and this bestowed arm skill that she's got going on over here, plus the 16% crit from just her passives alone is kind of nice. Because I was going to look at the 20% arts buff when I kind of first saw it. I was like, I don't know if that's quite good enough, but bringing it up to 30% isn't actually all that bad. That's pretty acceptable. And then the fact that she's also got the double arts and double quick deck does make it nice that she also does technically have a 30% quick buff because of her skill 2 over here, and then her passive skill adding into each other, right? And then the 3 hits of invincibility that last for 3 turns is also very strong survivability. Not that art servants particularly are wanting for good survivability, because you have Castoria and Lady Avalon that do a pretty good job at keeping you alive, but it is always very, very nice when your DPS servant has their own way to take care of themselves. Let's say your Castoria gets taken out in the middle of the fight, and then she becomes the last man standing. You know, it's just very, very nice that she has her own way to keep herself alive and potentially buy herself an extra turn or 2, right? That can be very, very good as well. But then finally, there's her third skill, where she has an interesting effect. Now, the NP damage, I think, is super crazy because, again, remember that the only thing that Castoria doesn't really give you, I mean, she gives you so much, but she doesn't give you a heal, and she does not give you an NP damage buff. So it is nice that at least for the damage of Kali, that she is going to be able to give herself that NP damage buff that's going to multiply into the arts buff that she has going, her damage mods, the damage mod that Castoria can give her, the attack buff. She's going to be able to take advantage of all of these different buffs, and she should be able to do quite a decent bit of damage. I mean, if you look at her attack stat, she's going to be pretty good, right? Like, bumping this up with foes to 13.8 at bare minimum, that's pretty good, right? Because, you know, archers do have, I believe, one of the lower attack mods for their class, and so having a really, really high attack stat can be very, very good on Kali / Durga over here, especially because she does have this NP damage buff where she does have the ability to put out some really good damage. But the other thing that I really like over here is that she's able to change all of her cards to arts cards, right? She has that same ability that Artoria has, except instead of being a super monkey about it and turning everything into buster cards, she could turn all of her cards into arts cards, which I think is super helpful, right? Because I've just been doing all these ORT raids and all these ORT fights over on the JP version of the game for Lost Belt 7, and not being able to have specific cards when you want and need them can be kind of annoying, where you're like, oh man, if only I had one of my arts cards right now, I could wrap up this fight because then I'd be able to get my NP. But no, I got to stall for like another 2 turns because I did not get an arts card when I needed it. And so her being able to on demand find her arts cards is going to be very, very strong, right? It does mean that even if you do pop this turn 1 when you're going into a boss fight, it does at least guarantee that as long as you have other cards to use with her, right, you can immediately do an Arts Brave to it, and that's really good because you can fire the NP, you have the follow-up Arts cards to get all that NP refund back. It's just a good time. Plus, the Pierce invincibility over here is very, very nice. You can get around your opponent's dodges, you can get around their own invincibilities. That is very, very cool, right? I do like that as a nice little touch on the 3rd skill over here. But then finally, there's her NP, which is an 8-hit Arts AoE NP, so you know someone like Caskill is absolutely loving this. He's like, ooh, that's going to be potentially a star bomb dropping NP, but realistically, it's going to be very good for her own NP refund because the more hits you have, the more you could take advantage of that overkill, and the easier it is for you to loop your NP. Now, I'm not sure if this is the correct NP gain. This is the only thing I'm not sure about with her, but if it is 0.3, you may think that's really low, but it should be fine because of the 8 hits over here and the fact that Castoria does give you a lot of extra NP gain to kind of balance that out. So she should be fine when it comes to farming, and then she should be okay when it comes to actual boss battles. But look at this. She's got double damage mod. She can hit Sky Attribute Servants, and she can hit Demonic people, which is very, very strong. When Servants not only have just a good general damage mod, but they can double dip into 2 different ones, they just become so much better because when you're using her as a farmer, it just increases the pool of enemies that she's able to fight that she could fully take advantage of her damage mods with. And if you do want to bring her to more difficult content, it expands the range of enemies that she's going to be able to fight and absolutely slam to the ground with her double damage mods. Plus, it does seem that every time you fire an NP into somebody, she's going to get stronger and stronger as she applies more of this defense down on your enemies because it lasts for 3 turns. So not only are follow-up hits that we were talking about over here with the 3rd skill going to be very good because any follow-up hits are going to do a lot more damage because of this 20% defense down, but every subsequent NP is going to feel stronger and stronger because you're also lowering their defense, which is very, very solid. So overall, I'm not disappointed at all with her release. I think she is definitely a very strong looking servant on paper. I'll need to play around with her with just a little bit to see how good she's actually going to be in practice, but she does look like she's got everything she needs as far as like all the numbers and everything are concerned. I mean, high attack, she's got like the 50% battery, the fact that she can pierce invul for boss fights, got double damage mods, right, are very good for boss fights, but also good for farming. Her arts buff seems like it should be fine enough. The ability to swap all of her cards into arts cards, I see that being very, very useful going forward. So I just think this servant looks really, really strong. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this a release that you're hyped for? Do you think it's a little disappointing? I can at least tell you, expect a summoning video in the next couple of days because I'm going to be going all in for this servant. Yes, I probably should wait for JP Anniversary, but not only is this a hot servant, but they also seem like they're very, very strong. And I could use a good AoE Arts Archer on JP. I have Zenobia, but I kind of want someone that's got a little bit more going. And again, double damage mods is definitely really, really strong. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I am going to bed. Peace late, guys.